As we can see, all the junk is still on it, so I'm just going to go through for the next few minutes uninstalling the junk. Alright, so first let's talk about the trackpad. The trackpad, pretty bog standard. In terms of how it feels, I mean, pretty good. It works well. Now, also, let's do a little sound test. So, we're gonna go to YouTube. Right, freeze. In terms of loudness, when we go up to 100%, you can't not hear it. It is good sound. But equally, when we go down, this is 10. If you are in a very quiet room, everyone's sleeping, 2 is audible, and it's not loud. Sound quality on this is pretty good. I'm liking it. All right, I'm going to give an insight to the typing. In terms of how it feels pretty solid. I quite like how it feels. It's pretty easy to know when you've hit a button, and the button, you don't even have to hit it that hard for it to press down. And when it does press down, it definitely presses down, and you know it's pressed down. So I think I'm going to very much so enjoy typing with this computer. In terms of the keyboard itself, the one thing I'm not a fan of is the fact that it's come with ANSI, the American version of this keyboard, so the enter key isn't like this, the European version or the UK version, where it's got the big enter key. Whenever I would be typing, I'd typically press the enter key up towards the top, and because the enter key is actually only this bottom portion, I might accidentally hit hashtag now, for a little while at least, until I'm used to it. But I will get back to you on that. I think it's very good, very nice. It runs amazingly so far. We're now going to try and put it under an intense workload because I'm going to do some editing, and we're going to see how that goes.
Standing double backflip. What? Oh my god!
As we can see, it took 19 minutes and 34 seconds to render this project. Now I'm going to render the same thing on the computer, and we're going to compare the 2 times. For reference, the computer has an Intel i7, and it's also got AMD graphics similar to this, except it's got an actual physical graphics card and not built onboard graphics. So let's compare the 2 times. As we can see, it took 7 minutes and 52 seconds for this to render on the computer. Now, that's over twice as fast, but regardless of the speed, it gets the job done. The editing on this computer, I thoroughly enjoyed. Usually when I'd use Premiere Pro on the PC, it would tend to like lag and stutter. However, on this, everything was fluid. There was never really any lags or stutters, which is good to know. Now we should address the elephant in the room. What is the price? Now, for the specifications of this laptop having 16GB of RAM and a terabyte of SSD storage, if we're to look at similar laptops with the same specifications, they would typically retail around £650, about £650. So this laptop here has a Ryzen 5, same as this. The only thing is, instead of 16GB of RAM, that has 8. And instead of a terabyte of storage, that has 256. Significantly less. Looking at these specifications, you would expect this to be at least £1,000 laptop if we're basing it on all these other specifications. For example, this one, it has an i5, which is basically the same as a Ryzen 5. It does have 16GB RAM, and it does have a terabyte, which is basically identical to this. However, it's £650. Now this laptop, when I got it, and still today, is £450. You'd think I'm HP sponsored or something. I'm not. I'm just saying this is really good. For the specifications, this is a really insanely cheap laptop. Not cheap in the sense of like, oh, it's kind of terrible, kind of like doesn't really work properly, blah blah. No, no, no. This laptop is amazing. It works really, really well. 14-inch screen. It has Ryzen 5, 16GB of RAM, a terabyte of SSD. What more can I say?